Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
Are you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, what are we talking about this week?
We are talking about one of life's most treasured moments, truly the miracle, the circle. It is when Stephen Miller and his hive queen get together and have a little chudling that they've welcomed into the world.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, this isn't the only thing we're going to talk about this week, but we figured we'd knock
Oh, actually, I had that penciled in for the whole 2 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I could maybe talk about it for 2 hours, but if we'll probably end up discussing a bunch of other stuff. Maybe we could always refer back to it, you know, if we want to make a reference to like something gross, like the idea of Stephen Miller reproducing. Who is Stephen Miller? Before we get into that. We're not talking about the Steve Miller band, right? Is that the guy's name?
Best known for his song Abracadabra. Is.
Why are you going after him so much, Joseph? Leave the man alone.
No, this is not the Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band, which is a great staple of 70s AM radio. No, this is Stephen Miller. Now, gosh, I'm speaking a little from memory here. He's a young guy. I think he went to Duke University, which is in that Research Triangle of North Carolina, pretty prestigious university. And he is literally a straight up white nationalist. He is super pro America. You know, he's America first. He doesn't want any immigration. He is he's a speechwriter for a lot of Trump's speeches, and he's the architect.
What is his actual title?
I think he's like senior advisor to the president or something.
Senior ghoul.
Yeah, well, I think that's like with a lot of those that don't need Senate approval, you just call him like a special advisor. That's like, I think Ivanka's a senior advisor, and I think
like
Jared
the entire Trump administration.
What?
Or just special advisors?
Yeah,
like the whole entire administration is a complete clown show. And
it is.
Stephen Miller, Ben Carson, what's that woman's name?
Betsy DeVos.
Betsy DeVos.
Yep.
Outside of obviously Trump's family, and I guess you include Kellyanne Conway because she said she'd stay until it was over.
Yeah.
Outside of those people, those are like the remaining people from like when Trump was inaugurated. Like,
oh yeah,
there hasn't. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else remaining. I mean, some of them lasted a day. Michael Flynn lasted like one day until he was arrested or something.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Lasted 6 hours.
I think you're right. I think Ben Carson and Betsy DeVos are two that have been 100% there the whole time.
And I think actual confirmed people in the cabinet. Yeah.
And Stephen Miller, I think, wrote Trump's speech for the convention, that doom and gloom speech.
I feel like every time there's some weird, cagey, old-timey, white nationalist style speech,
yeah,
it is straight out of Stephen Miller's asshole.
It is.
Or straight out of. Is Steve Bannon still involved in that administration in some way?
I don't think he is, but he's certainly in the periphery. I mean, I know he talks to Trump and stuff.
Yeah, I think he has influence on the agenda, or like at least on the national, like how they speak and shit.
He looks like he was lost at sea. Or have you seen him lately?
Steve Bannon?
Yeah,
he looks like a barnacle.
A
gin blossom. He's a little living, walking, talking gin blossom.
And he looks all bloated, like he'd been submerged in salt water for
a
long time.
Dead corpse that somehow, like he's a corpse that they found on a lake 6 months later.
Do you remember Creepshow when the scene where like they buried Ted Danson up to his neck?
Yeah.
And then like he came back as a ghost or a zombie or something. That's what Stephen Miller looks like now. Like.
Are you talking about Steve Bannon or Steve Bannon?
I'm sorry, Steve Bannon. Yeah. It's really
Steve Bannon. Like he does. He looks like a corpse that floats up on the top of a lake
right
a year later, and then the person who killed him gets caught. They thought they got away. They thought they buried the body, but Steve Bannon's out, walking and talking and telling everybody what happened.
Yep. He's like crew member 6 in like one of those Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like,
no CGI or makeup.
Right.
If anything, they need to smudge out some of the stuff that they end up spending most of their CGI budget making Steve Bannon look a little bit more human.
More lifelike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen Miller is, I think, most famous for Trump's speeches. He had the big one, America Uber Alles was a big one. And
he's responsible for the child separation, actually.
Yes, yeah, he's the architect.
That's like his fucking baby. Basically, anytime Trump like tweets some kind of weird racist historical shit, that is straight out of like Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
When he tweeted George Floyd during those, remember, like when the looting starts, the shooting, like, you think Trump knew what the fuck that was? That was like a direct quote from like some racist sheriff or something in the 60s.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The when the something stops, the shooting starts.
When the looting starts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's insane. And you know that this guy's like a student of like bigotry. So that shit's just straight out of like Stephen Miller.
Oh yeah. Well, Stephen Miller is like a well-educated person. You can tell which tweets are his because they're like spelled correctly and the capital letters are all in the right place.
They showed like a video of him from high school, and I guess he was involved in student government or something. And shocker, he was a douchebag.
Yeah. Well, he married Katie Waldman Miller, who was Mike Pence's press secretary. And Katie Waldman Miller is
too. That worked out.
Yeah, right. Well, she went to University of Florida, and I always remember this because I used to wander around on the University of Florida campus sometimes. She was involved in politics at the University of Florida, and in an election-like scandal, in a Tracy Flick-like move, when the
Tracy Flick from the election movie.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
When the student newspaper endorsed an opposing candidate, she drove around, got all the copies of the newspaper, and destroyed them, and she got caught. So that's her in a nutshell. And of course she wound up with Stephen Miller. And
so they reproduced.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible. I honestly thought they just stole the baby.
Well,
I didn't know she was pregnant. But then again, because xenomorphs, I don't really know how long their gestation periods are, and the baby being a chest burster.
Yes.
Like who did it bust out of?
Well, I think every 7 years when she goes into the birthing phase, they probably traveled to New Mexico or Western Texas, and then there's plenty of people in cages there, and that's how it happened. She probably laid her eggs, and then Stephen Miller went over and fertilized them.
There was only a baby Yoda there to I'm sorry, Grogu, to eat all those eggs.
All the Stephen Miller eggs, yeah.
But even baby Yoda, aka Grogu, knows not to eat those disgusting eggs.
Yes, right. They would. Yeah.
That's where baby Yoda would be like. But yeah. So congrats to one of the biggest piece of shits out there. I mean, he's responsible for child separation, child abuse, permanent damage to children.
Yeah.
But his kid will. All joking aside, they are human, as far as I know. They'll have to have a good life, and they won't ever have to worry about the wrath of Stephen Miller's disgusting ideology. And
it is weird though.
And I'm assuming the wives too.
You see on occasion the children of Republican politicians kind of sharply rebuke their parents' legacy. I'm thinking of Ron Reagan, the kid Ron Reagan.
That's a rarity. Let me tell you, most of these kids.
Well, Giuliani's kids.
Giuliani, that's one. The other one works in the Trump administration.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he just got the
that one's probably because she doesn't she probably deals with a mother. You know, divorce probably saved her from being like
True.
a mom. You know, no, a lot of these
Luke,
like
Luke
I
though,
dealt with some of these people. They end up just like their parents. The ones
yeah,
that are like,
often.
that Ron Reagan Jr. thing. That's a rarity. That's
It
like
is. It is.
I think the thing about him was he was already a full-grown adult when his dad became president, and he always like wanted to be in like Hollywood or some shit. Like he was not, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't there when he was like 12.
Yeah, that is true.
A full-grown adult doing his own shit, like when his dad was president. I think that's
I think you're right. I think that's probably just confirmation bias on my
yeah. Let me
part.
give you a good example. I did I used to go to a lot of protests and stuff back in the day. And one of the protests I went to was this media march out. It was during the RNC convention. I went to multiple protests that week, and I happened to work at NBC at the time, so I was kind of scared to be there. But I mean, I was like nothing at NBC, so not like it fucking mattered.
Right.
But I attended the protest, and as it was ending, I saw this woman interviewing this family that it's the dad and their kids.
Yeah.
And I guess he looked like he was somebody in the RNC. They were Republicans, and this woman was talking to them about the Iraq War, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she's talking to them, and I just remember like he was with his son and daughter, and the son was probably like 15 or something. He was like a pompous little shit. I was like sitting there, I'm like watching this, like, no, I'm gonna watch this and see what's going on. And they're talking about the Iraq War and what's happening with like, oh, there's kids dying. Now this is 2004 already, so we're already well into this war at this point, and most of the damage has already been done.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the true horrors yet of it. So she's trying to like, this woman, I don't know what she was, I don't know what her politics were, but she was like trying to like get them to have some sympathy, like try to be like, this war is not good or something. And I kind of just stuck my head in and I go, listen, we really just don't give a shit. We just, we're there for the oil. We don't give a fuck. We're there for the oil. If a couple kids die, it's their fault for being there in the first place. And that lady got mad at me, and the son, the little Republican son, lost his fucking mind.
Are you serious?
Like, sorry, oh my God, he almost like swung at me. And you'll thank us! You'll thank us! You'll thank us! And I was like, dude, fuck you. I walked away, but it was so fucking funny. And I'm like, I wonder if he ever ate those words, probably like, especially when like the war went on for like another 10 years. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Millions of people died in Iraq, and we lost like so many of our soldiers, and people came back permanently damaged for life. And like the whole war was a joke. It destroyed the region.
It's unlikely that he.
I wonder if should I still thank that kid?
Yeah. Well.
So that was a young Stephen Miller, actually.
Right.
I mean, he's like 35, so it's possible he could have been that kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't him.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, those are the fucking kids. And that's why I bring up those are the fucking kids. Those are the young Republicans. Those are like, that's who you're dealing with. Those are like the Charlie Kirks type people you see.
Yeah.
Like, no, the Ron Reagan Jr. thing is a rarity. We don't live in a movie where like the order is like, well, I'm a hippie, Well,
I think when it does happen, it's just very noticeable, and so it seems like it happens more often than it really does. I think that's the thing.
It stands out more, but trust me, that shit is, especially if they're like entrenched in politics.
Yeah,
the delegates, like these people, they were like the one. Oh, that was it. The kid was like, before I interrupt them, they were talking to the kids like, well, we were sitting in the ONC convention. He's all like, fancy lad. Before he went, transformed into a fucking Jabberwocky or something. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Put your other mouth back in your mouth, dude. He was like, we were standing on the floor all day, and we just wanted to see what was out there and see the protest and what it was all about. And I was like, fuck you, you little Fauntleroy piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, that is
I wish I had my camera with me. I think I kind of wish I taped the whole thing.
that would have been hilarious.
But I mean, like, they don't really care. This is
Nah.
butting my head. Like the woman was so mad at me for doing that.
Well, it will be weird to see what comes of Stephen Miller. Like, I don't know. I mean, like he's so tied to Trumpism that
I think the only thing fair to do to Stephen Miller is to just drag his feet and drag him by his feet through the town circle so everyone could throw shit at him.
yeah,
I mean, that's only fair, right?
he's probably one of the most odious people in the
There's a lot more to it than, I mean, it's like we're like joking. We're not even touching on like how disgusting. Like there was all these white nationalists in the Trump administration.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, a guy did some artwork for Michael Hayden, who works for I think it's Right Wing Watch or Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh yeah.
He broke these articles about basically white nationalists being in the Trump administration. They're all like basically, and I could be butchering this, so look it up, guys.
Yeah.
Listeners. That he hired all these like white nationalists, known that they were white nationalists,
yeah,
like wanting them in the administration, like
right.
And it was all supposedly through Stephen Miller. So
yeah, no, I've heard the same thing.
No, it's not. It's ironic. The worst person happened to be the guy who made it through the 4 years. Now I don't know if like there's any investigations. Like I don't know if this guy will like. If there's something there that he could face some kind of conviction, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, unless they.
I think he's an open book. I think people go to jail or people go to prison for doing things kind of behind the scenes, and I think Stephen Miller probably followed all the laws. He's just a horrible person. You know, I mean, I don't.
What do you think his next job's going to be?
Well, it's clearly going to be like Fox commentator or guest lecturer at Liberty University.
OAN.
OAN. It's going to be something like that.
I heard he's going to be a curator at the Mein Kampf University in Mein Kampf University.
Yes, right. Yeah, either
the Goebbels. I always said I think the reason why Donald Trump let Stephen Miller last as long as he did is because if you look at Stephen Miller, he kind of looks like Roy Cohn.
I could see that.
You know Roy Cohn's like, you know he is, right?
Yeah. He was Nixon's guy, right?
No, I don't think so. He was like a McCarthy guy. He was like responsible for putting like those two Jewish people to death and basically putting out. They were like, I guess part of the Communist Party, but who am I thinking of?
I know Trump has always said he wanted his Roy Cohn.
Well, I think Stephen Miller was his Roy Cohn, as close as it could be, because it wasn't his exact position. Like Roy Cohn was a lawyer. I think when he meant he wanted Roy Cohn, that William Barr, we're going to talk about him later.
Yeah.
Kind of fulfilled that Roy Cohn role. I'm just saying that he probably must have reminded him.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Roy
Cohn's been dead since the 80s, but I guess he worked with Trump a lot.
He was one of Nixon's advisors. He was still, and actually even as late as Reagan. You're right. He's much better known for the McCarthy hearings.
Yeah, he's famous for having those two people, the husband and wife.
The Rosenbergs, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, they had a family and everything, and their parents were killed because of Roy Cohn. I mean, not just because of Roy Cohn. He was a lawyer. There was a whole McCarthy movement and all that shit. But it's always funny when the Republicans bring up McCarthyism to ever like make an argument against like cancel culture or something.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, you guys were the McCarthy people. You do realize that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's you guys. That's your party. You were the McCarthy people. You're the blacklisters.
Well, Trump, I know, has always said he wanted, that was his big argument against Jeff Sessions, is he said, where's my Roy Cohn? I'm instead stuck here with this diabolical Keebler elf who is more focused on his magic cookie baking tree than defending me.
His pecan sandies are delicious.
They are, but have you ever
have a cup of milk because they are dry as hell?
They are, but each pecan sandy, I'm looking this up as we speak. The calorie count on each one is crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't had one of them in years.
They're delicious. Pecan sandy calorie. Each cookie is 80 calories.
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, that's not bad for a cookie.
No, but I remember used to.
Oreos are like 80. There might be even, maybe a little. I think 120 for 2. I don't know. But once you get into the quadruple stuff,
I remember one day like eating an entire half of a pecan sandies package, and then looking up the calorie count and realizing that I had basically my caloric intake for about 3.5 days. In like a half hour. It's like,
and you're still hungry because it's not
because there's nothing there.
It's not substantial nourishment.
It's like butter and sawdust. It's like
and some wood chips, which is pecans.
So all right. Anyway, but yeah, Trump always wanted this one cone.
They're racist cookies.
Yeah, they do feel that's. I saw that trending on Twitter a while back, like things that aren't necessarily racist but feel racist.
Oh, I was just making a joke because it's racist.
Pecan sandy feels racist, even though it feels like a southern.
I guess I'm just saying it because
cookie.
Of the Keebler Elf guy, who is also what's his face.
Well, I was trying to transition. I was trying to work Trump here because I wanted to transition to a big news story that broke after we recorded last week's politics episode, and that is Trump sitting at his Resolute desk, but the Resolute desk looked like it had been hit by a shrinking ray.
Well, just to be clear, though, it's not really a politics episode. It's a YSGOAT news.
Yeah, right. Yes.
We're basically an actual news organization, so send us your credentials. Also, we do reviews, so feel free to send us whatever merchandise you have.
Yeah.
Electronics. We'll review them. We'll review send us all the electronics, send us all the video game systems, all the toys and books.
If you want to be included in our 2020 new car wrap up, send us a sedan.
Yeah, definitely. If if you want to be included in the conversation, guys, the YSGOAT conversation, feel free to send us like everything, and we'll review it. I mean, maybe if we get around to it. But
for a long time, we had been appearing exclusively on movie charts and stuff on Apple, but now we routinely pop up in the news and current events charts as well.
Well, you know what? I think we should be allowed to get in on the press conferences. Yeah, right. I don't expect to be in the Trump one, no. But I think we'll start attending the Biden ones. Yeah, why not?
If Channel Ryan can do it, then certainly.
Who?
Chanel Ryan, whatever her name is.
I have no idea who that is.
She is the super pretty, mysterious OANN reporter who I believe
secret agent lady.
Yes.
Yeah. She wears the overcoat. She hangs out with Inspector Clouseau.
She is essentially a Carmen Sandiego cosplayer who has somehow managed to get press credentials.
I have a feeling when Biden's president, I don't think OAN's going to do it. Not because Biden won't let them, but because OAN won't serve any purpose.
Right.
Their only purpose to exist is to be a propaganda arm for the Trump administration. And once Trump's gone,
right.
They'll still exist and they'll put out stuff, but I'd be shocked to see them in the press conference because the press secretary is gonna rip him a new asshole.
Right, be an actual adult. They'll come up with where's Hunter, and the press secretary will be like, I think he's at home. Next question. Next question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As he's at home, I don't know. I'll let him know if you're interested. He'll call you.
Are you interested, Ms. Ryan? Are you interested?
He is single. You being a mysterious lady in your overcoat.
Where in the world? Yeah.
I just want to know, where in the world are you right now?
Yeah, right. That's
and
the real question.
What clues do you have? I just feel like they won't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think. Remember my favorite ever? One of my favorite moments during the Trump, during the beginning when Trump basically started turning his COVID task force press conferences into press rallies.
Yes.
Because he couldn't do his rallies at the time.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And one of the funniest moments, this is why Saturday Night Live sucks, because Saturday Night Live will never be able to be as funny as the Trump administration is. I know I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, Trump administration is diabolically disgusting, but it is very funny. And
it's hilarious.
Literally one of the best moments, because Sean Spicer was the first press secretary, and he was very funny for reasons
he was a comedy legend.
Unintentionally funny. I mean,
yes.
From like him saying like, Trump had the biggest crowd, period, for like his inauguration. Stuff.
He was the Don Knotts of his generation, I think.
Yeah. He was the guy that David Letterman, that Larry Bud Melvin.
Yeah,
he was the Larry Bud Melvin of the Trump administration.
Yeah,
and not the Larry Bud Melvin was
he was a gem.
The Baby Yoda of our generation, technically.
Yes,
Larry Bud Melvin was our Baby Yoda or our Grogu.
Our baby Melvin.
But Baby Bud Melvin. What a weird little man. Sean Spicer left or was fired, or fired.
Sure.
Sean Spicer showed up as a Cub reporter.
Oh yeah.
During a press conference, and it was literally like the funniest fucking thing I ever saw, because it was just like Saturday Night Live cannot write this shit.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot be funnier than reality. Like, the reality is so fucking ridiculous. And I remember him I don't even know what organization he was working for. I kind of wish he had like a fake mustache on and like a Groucho glass, like Manuel Spicer here. It was like possibly I remember seeing that, just laughing my ass off for hours.
God.
It was such Trump is literally WWF. The way he runs it, the whole thing is just one big carny wrestling act.
It is.
And Spicer being in that audience, I mean in the press conference, is such a the term a plant, where there's someone in the audience and it's clearly not a regular audience member, I'm gonna challenge you, I don't think you were a regular audience member.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a golden, probably one of my favorite moments of the Trump administration. I don't really have many, but that one was pretty damn enjoyable. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of really funny, one of the best moments of the Trump administration was his present for us, I guess, did he do it on Thanksgiving?
If it was not Thanksgiving, it was like the day before or something like that.
It was like the day after.
Yeah. It was Trump, and he was not in the traditional East Room or East Office. He was in some sort of makeshift thing, and they got him a tiny little desk, a comically small desk to sit at. It was not even like, it didn't have a front to it. It was like a table. It was more like
it was like just a shitty little desk that you would have, not for an executive of any kind.
And they scotch taped a cardboard presidential seal to the front of it.
Like a foam core printed presidential seal on top.
Yes. Like someone got a 3D printer and they're like, yeah, I know what I got this.
Get the masking tape.
Right.
I bet it would only have been better if that thing just fell off during.
Right. And he was sitting behind this desk and his knees were jutting up because his chair was too small. And he was and the best part of it is he looked so pathetic and incompetent and impotent.
Right, because at this point already the transition period's already started. Every lawsuit for Biden, the transition finally started. That horrible woman finally signed the paperwork.
And a reporter goes to Trump, says something, I forget what it was, and Trump's like, don't talk to me that way, I'm the president, and it was
he gets really mad. And
he looks so stupid behind that tiny desk, and it was just like, it's come to this, right? Like, this is
he It was so pathetic. I don't know. I mean, first of all, I'm shocked that like whoever gave him the desk clearly hates his guts.
Oh yeah,
or doesn't give, or is completely incompetent. One or the other, a combination of both. But Trump, you think would have been like, that's what you got from me?
oh come on,
Like
yeah.
I'm the president. This is the administration. Like, this is the desk you got for me. Like, I'll just stand.
If he had been a contestant on The Apprentice, past Trump would have fired his ass for sitting behind that desk. He would have been like, you look like a fool. You look weak and impotent. You're stupid. Yeah, right. You know, you look like you're trying to pour like 15 ounces of water in an 8-ounce cup. You know, it's just ridiculous.
You know, you remember like for a while people would like find old Trump tweets from like 2012 or 2011 or 2013 or 2014, and it would always be like tweets of him attacking Obama.
Right. You play golf too much.
Yeah, but it would be like but it would be all these kinds of tweets, and they always basically was like, the joke is that Trump's a time traveler and he's like attacking himself in the past as a and I think to top it off would have been the best if someone found a tweet like, you sat in this tiny little desk and you looked like a moron. You know, it'd be like, what? I kind of want to, like, I should Photoshop that. And
that would be hilarious.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe I found this tweet of Trump. This is crazy. You look like a fool, a blasted, limp baby man behind a little Fisher Price desk.
Yeah, it was just so, and it was so clearly stupid looking. Yeah, and whoever, I can't believe Trump really must have been off his game that day, because on an average day, there's no way Trump would have sat behind that desk and allowed himself to be filmed. So he was clearly off his game, and someone was just gunning for him by giving him that desk. So that's hilarious.
Very funny. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. It was just like, it was a good sunset moment in the Trump administration. It kind of summed up his entire, I think it kind of sums up his entire administration, just cheap and a clown show,
It's a clown show. Well, this was all playing out, and this was the next thing we were going to talk about. This was all playing out as his election challenges were failing miserably. Now, like right after the election, and I remember it this way, and I heard people talking about it this way, so I'm pretty sure this is true. He of course didn't concede that night, but the next day he looked all sad-faced because it looked like he was going to lose, and he was all frowny. And then he started talking to people, and they're like, no, sir, you fight, you win. And then he got all like super aggro and said, fake election, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of in the midst of that, where he was like building up speed to be all petulant and not want to concede the election. But all his challenges were failing like fucking miserably because they were all stupid, right?
Yeah. It would have been like 47 of them or something.
Yeah. And now they're to the point where like they have these hearings like in a Hyatt Regency or something. And they're calling them like hearings, like these are the Arizona hearings. And it's in like the lobby of a Hyatt hotel. That's not a hearing.
Like Giuliani had one, and Trump called up and Trump was saying all these like ridiculous things. And there was like a woman in the audience that was just cracking up the whole entire time Trump talks. Because again, Trump is hysterical.
Yeah.
All the reasons that he doesn't understand why. I don't know if he understands how funny he is. Again, we're not laughing with him, we're laughing at him. This woman was seriously cracking up once Trump called in and started. Because at this point, he just sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. I mean,
it's ridiculous. He's going on like you can't even like make this shit up. He spent the whole morning tweeting about massive dumps.
Yeah. They had dumps here, large dumps there, huge dumps. Took 16 flushes for that huge dump.
It was crazy.
That was again. I don't know where, like, there's people who think that like he's just really good at distracting people, but I feel like some of it is just like, it's not that he's good at distracting people, it's just that he's so ridiculous that he works as a distraction for everything. Like,
it's like the Simpsons episode with Homer, and who was the guy, the grimy grime
Yeah, Grimy, the guy
yeah,
who gets
grimy.
mad at him and everything.
Trump is like Homer Simpson in that episode, like when he's winning, like he's just like blundering through it. It just sort of works out for him often, or it
Never
did.
been to space?
It did back in 2016. But anyway, with all these challenges are failing miserably, and they're just like really bad, and they're to the point of being pathetic. The one I saw, I think it was today or yesterday, the Arizona hearings. It was in a Hyatt that clearly anyone could have rented for a couple $100. And the woman is sitting there, and she holds up her cell phone, and Trump is speaking through the speakerphone into a microphone, and it's just like laughable. He's talking about Dominion and these weird data dumps and this, that, and like none of it makes any sense. And you're at a fucking Hyatt. What are you gonna like go appeal to the Marriott Courtyard or something? Is that the next place you're gonna go? It's just
Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
La Quinta in the
Yeah, right.
free breakfast section of La Quinta.
So
make sure to get your egg white, and make sure to build a waffle. They have a Belgian waffle station at the La Quinta. Make sure you
get your parking validated.
Isn't this whole thing just one big grift though? Isn't he making like millions of dollars off this shit though? Like getting money from people because he's using donations and shit.
Yeah, he is. And I think he probably thinks it might work. It could work. And if it doesn't work, then he is certainly believing or trying to throw the Biden administration off balance to start the administration under this cloud of suspicion. And he also probably thinks like in the future, if he runs again or if his kids run, that this will be a built-in cause to rally under. But what he is doing too at the same time is he's tearing the GOP up. He's attacking that Ducey in Arizona. And Ducey, that guy was such a trash clown for like the last couple of years and super pro-Trump. And now Trump is like savaging him. And Brian
Kemp, I don't know why anyone like was willing to put their political career on this asshole, because he's shown forever, for years, before he was president, that he has no loyalty. He shows zero loyalty.
Look at Jeff Sessions.
He fucks over. I'm not talking about even pre-president. He fucks over his vendors. There was all these people who came out in 2016 that talked about how this one guy basically had to shut down his company because Trump pulled a con and didn't pay the guy.
Yeah, he was famous for that.
The guy lost all his money, like, because he has to pay for like, whatever they were doing. I think he was like a decorator or whatever it was, like millions of dollars lost. Trump didn't pay the guy. He's notorious, like a notorious charlatan. And everyone knew this, but like people were like, duh. But all these politicians that were like willing to get in line because they were just so blown away by like Trump's ability to get morons to come out in support of him. They're like, how do I get that? Like, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. Don't like try to like, these are not people who care about politics. They were there for the show.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and what I find particularly galling is I saw Georgia, I think it was the Secretary of State, someone in Georgia come out today. And I feel a little bad because I don't know how the guy voted. He may have been a Republican.
He's a Republican guy. He voted for Trump.
That's what I think. So he comes out tonight and he's like, this is enough. And it's like a 2-minute clip on Twitter. You can track it down. And
I think I've seen it.
He calls out Trump. Yeah, he calls out Trump by name, calls out Loeffler, and he calls out Perdue. And he's like, none of you are speaking up against this, so you're complicit. And I have employees getting death threats. And I had a 20.
He's getting death threats.
He's getting death threats. His wife's getting death threats. And as much as I feel bad for that, where the fuck were you the last 4 years when everyone else was getting death threats? Where were you? But now it's affecting you, so you fucking pipe up.
I mean, that's typical of a lot. I mean, that's typical of a lot of these Republicans usually are like that. But the fact is that, you still voted for the guy.
You probably voted for him.
The shitheads too. I mean, he's a Republican, so I mean,
you saw like what Hunter Biden. He wasn't getting roughed up over the last couple of years. Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton. I mean, like there's plenty of people. They're like Susan Page, the all these people.
Obama with the burglarism.
They were getting wrecked for 4 years, and you guys stood by. And now all of a sudden, you're like, you guys are complicit for not saving me and my.
Well, I mean, I think it's like it becomes more of a reality. And a lot of the stuff, like it's just like it's a game, Obama, Obama sure gets all kinds of death threats all the time. He's got Secret Service for life anyway. Remember that Cesar Sazak guy, the MAGA bomber?
Yeah.
Thankfully, all the people that he sent them to, the bombs to, I think the majority of these people like don't answer their own mail.
Right.
Like mail services, and these people are usually pretty good at detecting like bombs and shit, like weird packages. They'd probably run them everything through some kind of
X-ray or something.
Like, it sucks. It's like, finally this guy has a revelation. The joke is he'll probably vote for Republicans in the end anyway.
Of course he will.
But I mean, good on him for at least like saying something.
Yeah.
But the best part about the Georgia race is I saw Ronna McDaniel. Is that Romney's niece?
Ronna or Rona. Yeah.
She's trying to tell Republicans. Well, okay, so you got a president now who's on his way out, lame duck.
Yep.
The lamest of
the lamest of ducks.
The acidest of ducks, the weakest.
Right.
He's telling everybody the election was rigged and that basically Biden stole the election, by winning the most votes.
Yep.
But regardless, just say unfounded, you just keep saying it. Yeah, he stole the election. You have no proof, nothing. No, it doesn't matter. In reality, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That's just the deep state. They're lying. Oh, that's just George Soros. Yeah, you're lying. That's CNN. Yeah. But now Ronna McDaniel's trying to tell people to vote in this Georgia runoff. And you got all these MAGA people who are like,
"What are you
we're not going to vote because we don't believe elections."
What are you going to do about Trump? Fix Trump first, and then we'll vote.
Yeah, like we're not going to vote.
And they vote before Biden's inaugurated. So, like in their stupid little heads, they still think there's a chance Trump could sneak in office. They're going to believe that up until like January 21st or the day before.
They're going to believe that 3 years from now. Sure, they're going to it doesn't matter. But it's just funny how all this shit is backfiring. And they're supposedly, now I'll believe it when, these two assholes lose. Like Loeffler better fucking lose. There was something that came out about oh my God, the amount of money this horrible person has made off her Senate.
She's
being Senate being not even voted in, put in place by a horrible governor. Actually, it's funny. Didn't Trump come out against Kemp too? Speaking of horrible people,
Trump has been savaging Kemp.
Again, why are these people should show? And then they're such cowards. They don't just say, "Listen, Mr. President, we had an election and you lost."
Well, Kemp and Ducey are saying that now. They're not even saying it that clearly, but they are standing up for themselves. They've got like twice the spine Ted Cruz ever will.
Ted Cruz is a piece of shit, and Ted Cruz is in a lucky spot where Texas went to Trump, so there's no argument there. So Ted Cruz doesn't have to
he's free. Yeah,
he gets to just continue being a chud, and he's hoping that he'll inherit the MAGA voters. And that's the thing. A lot of these guys, they want to inherit Trump's voting base. That's what they're concerned about. They want Trump gone.
Yeah.
But the thing is they don't get is that they're not going to get them. Now, will they get some? Yes. But they're not going to get those people who went to the rallies that acted when they went to a Trump protest rally. They were going to really a Trump comedy show / concert / vaudeville /
like a wrestling show,
revival. It was all about Trump. Ted Cruz is not going to attract those people. Tom Cotton is not going to attract those people. Now, will you get some of them to vote for him? Sure. Yeah, I'm sure they will. But I just don't understand why these politicians, especially like the Georgia one and everything, they should just come out and be like, dude, you lost, dude, get over it. But I love that it's backfiring on the fucking Republicans now. This is the thing. They fuck Republicans. They let Trump in. they let him, he
Yeah.
won for them, because I really do believe that since Obama, and with Mitt Romney losing in 2012 and Obama getting 8 years, that they were probably like, we will never win a national election again.
Yeah. Well, there was a ton of articles saying they never would.
Because they're dinosaurs. Like their policies and like, well, besides the economic policies and stuff being absolutely horrible, but just on like social levels, like, one of the biggest ones they lost was the gay marriage thing. And that was like, if you come out against that on a national scale, you're gonna lose.
Yep.
Like, so I don't know. I think the only reason why, well, one, again, Trump won barely. He lost the popular vote by 3.5 million.
Yeah.
But he was probably, if Jeb Bush got in, if Ted Cruz got in, like, do you think Hillary Clinton would have lost?
I don't think so. I think Jeb Bush
would have been.
Jeb Bush might have given her a run for the money.
I think Jeb Bush is because of the name.
Yeah.
But then you just have to bring the brother up. What a fucking colossal fuck up.
Yeah. I think
you can get rid of Jeb Bush.
I remember, foolishly, in retrospect, I remember being very relieved that Trump won the nomination and not Jeb.
Oh, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I was I don't think I was foolish about it. I thought it was great that he defeated Jeb Bush. I thought now, part of me was like, we got to make sure this clown loses.
Right.
But I had a feeling, because the media, especially like the higher ups and like the Chuck Todds of the world and all those types, they would be much more respectful to Jeb Bush because of that name. Like having more media influence, and not like a different kind of media influence. There's like the media influence that Trump has, which is like a clown show, which is a ratings game. And then there's the other kind of media influence where you can control the flow of information. Real information, not like bullshit, but actual, or you can control it to where you push bullshit and it doesn't sound like bullshit. It sounds like, I thought the idea of Jeb Bush, like, and the idea of a Jeb Hillary Clinton, like election would just be awful.
Yeah.
Like,
that would have been depressing.
Two dynasties going after each other. Yeah, I just think, again, I think it's really funny how this Georgia election could backfire on the Republicans, because a lot of these people who are Trump people that think the election was stolen are not going to come out and vote for these two assholes.
Yeah.
And again, why should they? Who do they care?
Well, it is
care about the Senate.
It is weird. I think the Trump voters, like the real diehards, and I'm not even talking about the rally goers. I'm talking about the people that legit in their heart believe Trump is good for America. They do see the Republican Party as part of the problem. They see people like Kemp, and they're like, this is what we were talking about. You won't stand by Trump. Yeah. They see that as part of a problem. And this is like a really weird thing. Like the Republicans made a devil's bargain when they got behind Trump. Everyone warned them. It's like the frog carrying the scorpion, across the water or something. And this is when push comes to shove. And I think that you might see the Republican Party fracturing over the next couple of years.
Well, I also think that, like, the GOP, though, they are Trump. That's the direction they were going with. They let the Tea Party come in and take over them so they could steal the House. And they steal if they wanted in 2010. Lots of gerrymandering and stuff. But, like, they took the House, and then they eventually took the Senate using the Tea Party, and the Tea Party morphed into the MAGA people. Yeah, the same people, just like the MAGA people are morphed into QAnon. And if let's say you're deep shit into QAnon now, you don't even care about, like, what you see in the world of politics. It's not even real, man.
Yeah. Well, when Romney and Ryan lost, the Republicans got together and they had a plan. They did an autopsy and they said, we're getting killed with black voters, we're getting killed with women voters, we're getting killed with Latino voters, and they were going to make a big push to become more inclusive, and it was kind of cynical and calculated, and then Trump came along and fucking wrecked all that. Now, ironically, they did do well with Latino voters in certain demographics, but I think the Republican Party was trying to turn a corner, not in a good way, not in an altruistic, benevolent way, but I think they were trying to.
But even Trump tried to pull a fast one in 2016 and claim that he's a lying piece of shit, because he claimed in 2016, he said the Republican, and he even said, I think he said this during the inauguration and stuff, that Republicans need to be more accepting of LGBT.
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
He waved the lesbian, gay, the LGBT flag.
Right.
He claimed that it was like, listen, this is where we are now. I mean, it wasn't like a full-on endorsement of full support of gay rights, but he was basically saying, like, guys, you want to win. Right. But then what does he do? It's like, well, who cares? He's in there. He won barely. He won by he never really, like, it wasn't ever like an honest man's win. It was like weird and shady, and he spent his entire administration denying the fact that he lost by 3.5 million votes on the popular vote. I mean, you never saw a winner be such a sore winner.
Yeah.
He acted like a sore loser. And that's like, dude, you are the president. You are here. Move on. Maybe you shouldn't have brought that up so much. Maybe people would have trusted you more instead of you being this like. Well, and then what does he do though? So all this stuff, all the good capital that he was trying to build up, claiming that, like, I'm going to be a more accepting administration when it comes to, like, gay people and stuff. What does he do? He puts in a trans ban, like, immediately, within the first couple of months of his presidency in the military, a trans ban. For what reason? What was their reason? They never had a good reason except being bigots.
Well, I think that was like a Stephen Miller type of deal where, like.
Well, I think it's also Trump had no real ideology, and he's also a con man and a liar. Yeah. So, of course, if you're running against Hillary Clinton and she's like the first woman president, and the Democrats were the ones that, regardless, I know some people won't give Obama credit for gay marriage, but it happened because of his presidency. Like, I'm sorry, it did. Like, the course of where we were going and the culture of the country and everything, and having a Democratic president that came out, him and Biden came out in support during early in an election year. I saw some Candace Owens lying, saying that was after. No, she's a lying bitch. It was, she's the worst. She's absolutely the worst. Obama early in 2012 said, I think that gay marriage should be legal. And I remember my director telling me that Obama lost the presidency. Well, and I said, no, he didn't. And I was like, that's a big fucking deal. I mean, you're trying to get reelected. And he was a thing that was still not 100% accepted in the country. It's still not, but it was even way less 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah, significantly.
And him and Biden came out during an election year. So it kind of forced the hands of the Republicans. So, of course, Donald Trump's like, I'm not going to say I'm this. But then he comes in and they end up becoming just archaic, bullshit Republicans again when he's in charge. And everything's like, it's like the opposite of harm reduction. Every policy they put in is meant to hurt.
Inflict pain
on specific groups. Everything.
And vulnerable groups. It's not meant to. It's
marginalized, not like groups that are already marginalized that will face, even more harm because of his policies.
Yeah, it is terrible.
And that's it. That's his entire presidency. And you can even say that tax cuts are like, okay.
Oh yeah.
One biggest thing, one huge achievement was this ridiculous, god awful tax cut. That is an attack on the working poor, minorities, people that are marginalized, because it drains the funds that are in place that are supposed to build communities up.
Yeah.
Tax cuts are notoriously racist. Republicans, that's like their coded language. They can't say things that they want to say like they did 50 years ago. So they say things like tax cuts so that they don't have to fund things anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't have money for that. We gotta, it's like when Biden's gonna be president, all of a sudden the concern of the debt.
Yep, I saw that today. That's in the Washington Post. All of a sudden, the Republicans are now real concerned about the debt again. So,
oh my God, this is debt. Oh, they just woke up today. I'm like, oh, there's a debt.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted by Trump's funny desk.
Well, It is, yeah. That'll be interesting to see.
Okay, so I mean, we were talking about that, and then
Yep.
and basically everything has fallen through. Like Trump will just to this day. I'm curious if he'll even show up to the inauguration.
I don't think he will. This is the part where we
I
were
kind
going
of I want him not to.
Yeah, well, I saw today, I think it was in this morning's newspaper, he was talking to people and saying that he might skip the inauguration and have an event of his own announcing a 2024 run. So, I mean, I think that would be fine.
If I were the Republicans that day, if I were like the top Republicans,
yeah,
I would outright go on TV and say, but these people are idiots, so they won't because they're too short-sighted. I would say we're inaugurating a president today, and
well,
Donald Trump is, we could focus on that in the future or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think liberals would get kind of pissed, and I think conservatives would get kind of riled up. But there's still a big chunk of this country, probably 30-40% of the country, that wants a year or two off from politics. And if Trump starts running for president again in January, it's a lot of people are just going to tune him the fuck out because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it anymore.
How about the media? The MSN does everyone a favor and doesn't broadcast it ever.
Yeah, right?
They don't have to. He's not president anymore. And he's a loser.
Yeah. Well,
people are sick of him. They've spoken.
Yeah. I'm going to wait and see. I don't know if part of me thinks he won't show up at the inauguration. Part of me thinks he will. I think a lot of it's going to depend, and I guess this is where we're going to segue naturally into the next topic anyway. I think some of it's going to depend on what Bill Barr does, because there's been a ton of talk now about pardons, and Bill Barr came out today and did two things that are kind of weird. One is he said there's no evidence of fraud in the election,
which is pretty amazing because the entire time up to the election, Bill Barr would not admit.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say, like, they would ask him in Congress when he was called in, and he's like, will you take the election or something as it is? And Barr would say like some bullshit like, well, if it's an honest election or, whatever, like if there's no, I will. Well, I guess he did do the investigation. And I mean, that was political talk. I took it as like, yeah, he has no intention of, like, he's not going to say, yes, of course. But I guess,
I think he probably looked, and if there was any inkling that there was any room to investigate, I'm sure he would have. But I think it was like a real legit thing. And it certainly didn't hurt that Biden won. Look, Pennsylvania has a Republican legislature, and Georgia does, and Arizona does, and Wisconsin does. So a lot of the states that Biden won are run by Republicans. You're kind of in a catch-22 there. I mean, it's well, he said there's no evidence of fraud, but then he did something weird. He appointed a special prosecutor to investigate the investigation of Trump, the Trump Moscow thing, which is kind of like throwing a hand grenade in the tent of Joe Biden's incoming administration. He's going to have to deal with a special prosecutor poking around at Obama era politics, which was a big fuck you to Biden.
Oh yeah, of course.
So Michael Flynn got a pardon, and he got like a super bonus deluxe pardon. It's like, I've never seen anything like it, where it almost looks like it was designed to have Flynn protected from ever having to answer questions in court about anything, Well,
that's the goal, is to make sure, one, they're pardoned, but two, that they can't say anything that would implicate Trump or the rest of the administration.
Well, normally, if someone gets pardoned, the trick is you bring them back into court and say, well, now you can't incriminate yourself.
Somebody said that Trump doing that, pardoning him so quickly and everything, that it actually was a mistake, because now Flynn can't plead the fifth,
right,
on anything.
But the pardon, once they finally dug out the pardon's actual language, it looks like there's some weirdness to it. Now, that judge is going to the judge is going to make a ruling because the Department of Justice moved to have Flynn's case thrown out since he's been pardoned. The case still has to be formally thrown out, but the judge can throw a wrench in it too, and that judge has kind of shown he's willing to fuck the system.
Judge basically said that Michael Flynn's a fucking traitor.
Yeah, he did. Right? I mean, he said it's like, yeah, it's hard to
like
see.
You're a fucking traitor to the country. Like Obama warned.
Yeah.
The Trump administration about Michael Flynn.
They said
the Trump administration was like, yeah, we know. That's why we have him on the team. That's specifically why he's on the team. That's
a feature, not a bug. That's a feature.
These people who get angry sometimes. I see like people who voted for like Jill Stein, they get mad. You know that famous photo of Michael Flynn eating dinner with Putin?
Yeah.
And at the table is Jill Stein.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, come on. That was like back in December of 2015. Yeah. What do you think was going on? This isn't a fucking conspiracy. It's fucking obvious. What the fuck is Jill Stein doing at the table with not just like it's one thing to have the president of or whatever the fuck he's called of Russia. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But to have Michael Flynn in the same table, who was already known for working with the Trump campaign at that point, it doesn't get any more fucking obvious. Yeah. I don't understand why people. I get so annoyed by that.
Well, did you see the last thing? We can talk more about Barr, but the last thing that I was going to mention, a story that was breaking throughout the day, but really started to gain steam tonight, just a few hours ago, was that the Justice Department is now investigating potential bribery charges regarding presidential pardons. Did you see that?
Yeah. Okay. So that was the thing with Barr. Like, so it was. Yeah. Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Like, like the Department of Justice, I guess back in like October before the election, started an investigation. They subpoenaed a bunch of people. They confiscated like 50 electronic devices of people trying to pay for pardons, get pardons, and it was a bribery thing.
I mean, are you shocked by this?
No, I
can totally see that Trump is trying. The other reason why he won't admit he lost is he's trying to make as much money as possible before he gets kicked out. And he went shocked. I mean, look at remember he pardoned that one guy,
Carter Page, or
no, not that guy. The guy from Chicago, the guy who is the governor. And
Rod Blagojevich
tried selling Obama's seat or something. Yeah. And he went to jail. And he literally, the reason why there's a good documentary about it on Netflix. The wife did whatever she had to do. She kissed Trump's ass.
Yeah.
Get him out of jail. Like he's never going to be in politics again, this guy and everything. It's like the guy is just like, it's funny. I highly recommend. I forgot what it was. I gotta remember the name, but it was, if you look up Netflix, Rod Blagojevich, you'll probably find it. It was part of the series and it had to do with cases. One of the cases I think was Abdul, the guy who was shot by the cops 40 times in New York City.
Oh yeah.
Different cases. And one of them was the Blagojevich thing. They go into his career as a politician and everything. And while he was after he was arrested initially, but he was out either on bail or whatever. I mean, he was a contestant on
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. And he's a Democrat too. So people were and he said the only reason he's getting fucking pardoned was because he was on The Apprentice.
Yeah.
That's 90% of it. I guess Trump felt bad for him.
Well, I heard he's also considering a pardon for Martha Stewart. So seriously.
Well, actually, one of the pardons, I'll get into that in a second, that I heard being floated around. I think it's just a joke. But that's it's just funny that the Robert Blagojevich thing, bring that up, what he went to jail for initially, and that's the woman. I don't even think the woman even liked Trump, the wife, but she did whatever she had to do.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Jail, so that the kids could have a father and stuff. But I would not be shocked. That's the most obvious thing in the world, that Trump's taking bribes for pardons.
Yeah,
I mean. It would be so obvious.
Well, it might not even be Trump. It could be a Trump aide is getting money to put a pardon in front of Trump. Right. That's I think the more likely, because Trump's pretty good about being cagey about stuff like this. He would say to an aide hey, you could probably donate a lot of money to my campaign if you got a lot of money. Do you know anyone who needs a pardon? Or he would phrase it like that, and then the next
Yeah,
thing
like
you know,
you get a little, I get a little.
yeah. So
and I imagine anyone that's willing to work for Trump in the last year of his term,
it's like the
piece of
bottom
shit.
of the barrel.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like
a barnacle. This
Yeah.
is like these are the chudlings that scraped off of Stephen Miller's ball sack.
Right.
The jizz did not make it in.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. This
They didn't need a woman to host them to grow. They just fell into the earth like a carrot and came out.
And they came out like little golems or homunculi or
Yeah,
something like
Cabbage Patch Kids, but but somehow cuter.
It's like these bizarre mud creatures made of Stephen Miller's sperm and clay. Like
hell, homunculus.
Yeah.
Do you have any requests for pardons? Oh, my leg. Mud melting. Jeez, clean this office. It's disgusting. Why is there mud everywhere?
Those
are my mudlings.
This is the Secretary of the Interior or something like.
It's a mudling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like a cross between like a chudling and a mud. Well, I think Bill Barr, what a bizarre odyssey this whole thing has been. But Bill Barr is definitely smarter than Trump, and he's like,
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he is.
The guy's been doing this for years. He's been involved in multiple Republican screw jobs.
He is like dividing his time between looking out for himself, putting landmines in front of Joe Biden, and figuring out how to best leverage his relationship with Trump. And I don't know. I mean, like I heard tonight that a lot of people are saying Trump should pardon his whole family on the way out the door. That's probably good thinking on his part. I mean, what a
great optics for running for 2024. I had to pardon my entire family. Vote us in.
It is. It's a tough thing because
we're all criminals.
He does have super big liability, but a lot of his liabilities at the state level. So I don't know. I mean, it's
He's
just
he could run again. I just think that he'll be a joke in 2024. I think and I know people will be like, oh, but we said that back then. I'm like, no, I think the media is tired of it. At the end of the day, it's all about, it was like the shock of 2016. It's like everyone just figured Hillary was going to get in. So why don't we just be entertained in the meanwhile? Right. And then they let Trump just come in and just take over, and then they repeated the bullshit that he was selling. And I just don't think that's going to happen this time. I don't think it's going to be Trump in 2024. I think it's going to be like Nikki Haley,
Josh Hawley.
I don't even know that guy. I kind of have a feeling. I could see that fucking guy from South Carolina, Tim Scott. Is that his name?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I could see him trying to enter. He'll definitely be in the primary. I could see Nikki Haley's already. It's going to be someone that they could put up that is younger.
Yep.
And some kind of either woman or color or
who's the guy from Arkansas, like Bartholomew McSlavery or something?
Tom Cotton.
Oh, Tom Cotton. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Tom Picking Cotton is not good. Tom with Cracker Cotton is not going to be the nominee.
He'll give his announcement at the Cracker Barrel.
I mean, I know people say that, and I hear people talk about this. They say oh, well, the one thing we need to be nervous is that the Republicans are they're using Trump as a test run of how they could screw people over later when it comes to elections. And yeah, I mean, you could look at that, but the thing is that at the end of the day, the Republicans are going to have to get another guy who was in the WWE, who's been in the entertainment business for years in some way, and is a known media product for the past 40 years, that could come in and is viewed as a political outsider, even though they've been involved in politics for years, but maybe more on a local level, so people weren't paying attention at all. They're not going to be able to do that in 4 years. No. They're not. People like Tucker Carlson. I'm like, yeah, it's great, Tucker Carlson, but he comes in with a partisan baggage. We know he's a right-wing chud. Trump was able to get people who voted for Obama because they didn't view him as a Republican.
Right. He was
And
tabula rasa. Yeah.
so like this person has to already exist already for them to be like Trump spent almost the entire Obama administration attacking Obama
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
gaining attention and people responding to him on Twitter and stuff like that. And then getting bits on Fox News. They let him speak. They gave him like his own
Well, he was a third anchor on the Scarborough show, like every
Scarborough was
morning.
on MSNBC.
Yeah, but Trump was on Scarborough show every morning.
Oh yeah, Scarborough. Yeah, but that was during the election. I'm talking about before. Yeah, Scarborough was just responsible for getting Trump done.
Yeah,
he let him call in literally every day.
Every fucking day.
Yeah, I mean they would counter him on things, but the fact that he let him talk, they gave him billions of dollars of free advertising. All the networks did. Like CNN letting like the podium be empty for an hour until preempting like Hillary talking or someone else, so that they could just sit there and wait for an empty podium for Trump.
Yeah, it was crazy.
The Republicans are not going to be able to reproduce that in 4 years. I'm sorry, they're not. Now, could they take the House and the Senate in 2022? Yeah, that's a possibility. That's something people need to be. That's more important. We got to make sure that. But I just don't think that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not worried about it, but I just don't think it's going to be another Trump type.
Yeah.
I think the Republicans are going to run a. You could have 4 years of, regardless of what the most lefty person on Twitter says, it's going to be a much more progressive presidency than the past 4 years. I mean, I know that's not saying, but it's going to be much more progressive. It just is. And it's going to change the language of the country. And by 2024, they're not going, I don't know. Like the thing is, Trump ran in 2020 as a Republican. He wasn't Trump from 2016. He had a record for 4 years and he was a straight up Republican. So I don't see I could predict who the Republicans will pick, but I'm not worried about some I don't even know. Like what media clown could they put out there?
Well, I think it'll be interesting it'll be interesting over the next 6 months or so because, the next thing we were going to talk about was the Biden transition, and Biden and Harris will start to occupy more of the media's attention. They'll put out new people, new things. I think the transition. I was talking to someone this morning about it. I am a little disappointed as a partisan, but I think Biden's playing it right. I think he's making good moves and putting good people in place. His cabinet certainly looks diverse. He's putting a good mix of people out there. I could see if Biden just in the first year does addresses coronavirus best he can, given the mess he's been left, and
we have vaccines.
Yeah, I think if he effectively distributes the vaccine and shit like that, I think it would be hilarious if the first thing he did was like an infrastructure week and actually did it. These are the bridges we're going to start working on today. And then
I don't know. I'm not counting on that, but I know what you mean. Yeah, they always made a joke about that, right? That's like a joke of the Trump administration. Or when's his healthcare plan going to kick in?
Right. I think if he just had focused on a few things, I'm going to put people to work, I'm going to improve access to healthcare, and I'm going to distribute this vaccine, and he just starts hammering that away, I think that his transition team will start to suck up a lot of the oxygen. And Trump will be left flailing away at his little desk.
Oh yeah, go ahead and have your little campaign announcement on the same day Biden's inaugurated. Go ahead and do that. You're gonna look like a fucking joke.
It will, yeah. He'll become more and more of a joke, and at some point he'll just diminish himself by
he'll just be like fucking Gallagher going to county fairs, being like a comedian there and complaining about how the big cities won't let him in there anymore. I could totally see that. I could see, Trump doing greatest hits with diarrhea and silk and and just doing some weird revival show. And he'll claim the whole time he's running, but he's not. It's just a grift.
Yep.
He's collecting money from morons, claiming it's for a campaign that's never going to happen. Or who the fuck knows? The other thing that'll probably really happen, because Trump will say this and all that stuff, but the real thing that's going to happen is day one of Trump out of the White House, he gets subpoenaed.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what it is? He would get.
Yeah, he gets a subpoena or a summons or something, and he's got to go to the district court in Manhattan or a state court or something. And he can pardon himself left and right. There's debate as to whether or not he can do that even. But
I don't think he can pardon himself.
But Eric and Don Jr. and Ivanka are all wrapped up in the state charges in New York. It's going to be
you can't pardon state.
No.
But even if Trump, like, I make you impervious to all laws.
He can pardon himself from federal. He can pardon his family from federal charges, but he has no authority over state charges. I could see him trying it. I could see him like, I hereby declare by executive order that no one can ever.
You are now Darth Vader.
Right. Darth Ivanka.
Eric and
but
the other guy.
But they're going to be like, they're all in pretty serious legal jeopardy in New York.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be, I think they're going to flee the fucking country.
Well, someone was talking about Trump doing a world tour. I don't know, like, how many countries.
Like Rampage, I think of the Rampage video game from the 90s, Rampage World Tour.
I don't know how many countries Trump could visit, frankly. I mean, like, he's not going to be afforded, like, if Trump shows up, he'll have his couple Secret Service agents or whatever, but it's not like the government of France is under any obligation to put him up or anything, you know? I mean, they're not going to, like, host him at state parties or whatever, because I don't think it's going to.
Well, he's a prick. He was horrible to all. He was horrible to Macron. He was horrible to
Merkel.
What's his name from Germany?
Angela Merkel.
Yeah. Like, is it Angela Merkel? I know it's Merkel, but I don't think it's. I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe it's like Angela or something.
Yeah, Angela. Yeah, I'm like Angela. Like a Tony. Who's the boss?
Yeah,
I guess Angela Merkel is the boss of Germany.
Yeah, she's the boss, right? With her aunt.
Yeah, but like, he's not like. What's he gonna do? Go to the Philippines, hang out with Duterte, go to North Korea, hang out with Kim Jong Un.
I
mean, the funny thing about the irony, I loved it during the debate when Trump was bragging about Kim Jong Un.
Yeah.
And how Obama or something wouldn't meet with him and stuff, and Biden's like, why would we meet? You basically gave away you basically like
legitimized him.
Legitimized him. You gave him what he wanted. We gained nothing from that visit. You brought down you like.
Yeah, Obama would have sent like an undersecretary of whatever to meet with Kim Jong-un's undersecretary of whatever. That's how you start it. That's what a smart person does.
Obama didn't meet with Kim Jong-un because of like everything Kim Jong-un's doing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, when you stop doing this and this, we'll meet, but you're not. And Trump's like, I'll just go meet so I can make this like historic thing, but the whole thing is a clown show. And it's like, I think when he went to countries, like China and stuff like that, the thing is, the president would, and in the past and everything would, when they go to countries, they would eat the country, the food of the country.
Oh yeah.
They would eat but when Trump went there, they did the opposite and just gave him like steak or some Americanized shit that like he would eat, like
SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, spaghetti. Yeah. Chocodiles, like barbecue corn nuts.
Yeah.
Fried chicken skin, not the chicken parts, like just the chicken skin from the KFC. A bucket of chicken skin, lukewarm, of course. That's the way he likes it. And Faygo and orange Faygo, whoop whoop. And but like that was like the joke. It was like they were like buttering him up, kissing his ass. But the whole idea is you go there and they give you like
you have the local
You wear like, you look like George W. Bush when he dances. And that gift that, I mean, like that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. But what they knew with Trump, they could just like kiss his ass and butter him up. It's all ego driven. And then they could just get away with murder.
Yeah. It's literally if you're Saudi Arabia.
Well, we've been letting Saudi Arabia get with murder for
a while.
Very long time.
Well, what
definitely else? More under Trump. I mean, Trump, they murdered a reporter. that was living here, a resident of the United States, Khashoggi, and Trump laughed about it. Imagine that.
And Kushner basically like co-authored that. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
they knew that they killed this guy with a bone saw or something. Like there's video footage of them like bringing him in, and like footage of like it's disgusting.
It is.
And Trump was just like, whatever, I like MBS. Remember that fucking guy?
I think they may eventually come into some peril with that. Like, I could see his widow suing Kushner in an American court. You know, there's a court case today where this is disgusting. These U.S. companies were in court today under charges that they were engaged in child slavery. Okay. And it was Nestle, which is a chocolate company.
They make the very best, Nestle.
Yes, Nestle and something else. And anyway, these people sued these companies in court today. And the companies were like, well, you can't sue us because we're a corporation. You know, you could sue us if we were people, but you can't sue us.
Aren't corporations people?
Yeah, well, not for this purpose. But
like, corporate. They have corporate. They have like humanity when it comes to like
taxes or so. I think it was Kagan or Sotomayor, one of the liberal justices, said like, well, if a person had a child slave, could the child slave sue the person? And the answer is yes. And if 10 people all together participated in purchasing a child slave, could that kid eventually sue those people? Yes. If those 10 people formed a corporation, could the kids? No. And Kagan, I think it was like, well, what the fuck, you know? And even Clarence Thomas was like, this doesn't make any sense. You know, the kids should be able to sue Nestle. Even Clarence goddamn Thomas.
I guess Clarence Thomas didn't get the updated corporate Republican talking points, and he was, you know, because it just gets worse and worse, and his are bad from like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Or something. So he didn't get updated yet. They're like, Clarence, no, you just go.
Well, if the Republican court is hostile to that argument, then you could 100% see Khashoggi's widow trying to sue Kushner. And it worked.
I hope Kushner. First of all, this fucking guy never was even like in confirmed for anything.
Nope.
He was put in all these ridiculous places.
Failed his security clearances.
Just so they can do like all these corrupt things. It's like you got this guy who's never been confirmed, doesn't really have to answer to anything, but somehow is a representative of the United States.
Yeah.
That's insane. That, you know, that's some legal shit right there. It's like, yeah, he doesn't want them confirmed because they're doing business.
It's awful, you know. Well, anyway, ideally, these people will all be held to account via that.
I'm not worried about Trump making threats anymore. I mean, I am worried until the day he's gone.
Yeah.
I think, he lost. He's a fucking loser. I don't think, you know, I know back in the day, like Nixon lost in 60, came back in 68. But Nixon was also a lot younger, and he wasn't Trump.
Yeah.
You know, I think Theodore Roosevelt, I guess.
Yeah.
Back 4 years later or something.
In general, and this has been true for a while, in general, Republicans punish losers. You know, Democrats will recycle their candidates, and Biden ran for president. But
that's not actually true. You're getting that mixed up. Republicans usually, no. If you look in the past, there's been multiple attempts. It's Democratic candidates do not get to run again. Like John Kerry lost in 2004. He said after a little while, he was like, I'm going to run again. He didn't run again. They're like, no, you lost. Hillary Clinton, they were like, I'm going to run again. No, you lost. Republicans, and if you look at their past, first of all, Reagan tried running for president many, many times.
Huh.
Biden, yeah, he ran in 88. He lost.
Right.
But that was just a primary. Like, he didn't even, like, it's not like he lost the, he wasn't the elect, and you know, he wasn't the candidate. He just was in the primary.
Well, if we're talking elect, then none of them have lost and run again, have they? Like no candidate has lost to run again in the last
Well, Nixon did
30,
that.
40. Yeah, I was just saying, like in the last 30, 40 years.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think like that. They've been people who like Bob Dole ran multiple times until he was a nominee in 96.
True.
Biden lost in 2008, but then he became the VP, and then he just became a totally different situation. He wasn't a senator run anymore. He was a former vice president of a two-term president. It's very different. No, it's actually known that it's from what I remember, is that the Democrats are the ones that do not usually let a candidate who lost a presidency run again. Republicans that will tend to be like, but not in the past like 40 years.
I was thinking more in the primary sense, but like I guess I would have to check my math on that again.
Reagan ran the primary like 3 times until he won.
Yeah, Reagan was a long time ago, though.
Reagan, okay, but like, I'm trying to think of, like, again, Bob Dole, 96.
Yeah.
I mean, elections are every 4 years of presidency. So when you say 96, that's only 5 elections ago, 6 elections. It's typically not.
I guess I was thinking like when Kerry and Edwards ran and lost, Edwards showed up again the next time around
in the primary,
right?
And he lost in the primary.
Yeah, but like he was in the mix.
But after his wife got cancer.
After Romney lost.
Awful. But then it was found out that he was like cheating on her and everything.
Yeah, that was
cheating on her and she was this like it was awful. Like everyone loved this woman. Like she. Yeah. She, even though like they lost in 2004, I remember his wife became very popular.
Yep.
Like,
and then she died.
Yeah.
John Edwards' behavior could only be described as Gingrichian, I think.
Yeah. Newt-like.
Newt-like, yeah.
A Newt-like Gingrich.
Right. Well, okay, so we were kind of wrapping up the Biden transition.
We didn't really talk. I know. Well, I was making jokes on Twitter today.
Yeah.
Fun of like Trump. Like I see all these people like going crazy. I know like the big one that I see everyone on the left going insane is like every left person I follow on Twitter or like is Neera Tanden.
Yeah. Apparently she said mean things on Twitter.
I've seen her on Bill Maher. Well, no, she does suck on some levels. I don't know enough about her to come out and outright say she sucks. I don't have like a strong opinion on her. I almost feel like Biden put her on there to like distract everybody from anyone else he puts on.
Yeah, that could be.
Everyone's losing their shit over this woman. Not the Republicans. They don't give a fuck. They're like, where's the pizza place? Where's the basement? Like they're, they want to know where like they don't believe voting exists anymore. It's not real. Where's George Soros? But like people like Bernie Sanders type people, they're going nuts over the Neera Tanden thing. And like I said, I don't know enough about her to know how bad she is. I do know that she, she's kind of shitty when it comes to like healthcare and like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. But I was making it. We'll see. I mean, I was making a joke though on Twitter about like the candidates that the people that Biden put out there, and I'm just gonna read them real quick.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't expect it. I was actually pretty in shock with some of the people that Biden was gonna put on his.
Yeah, it was.
Let me pull it up. Biden just announced his granddaughter will be working on bringing peace in the Middle East.
Nice, good pick.
That's great. I mean, I think she's like 16. I don't know. And
well, she's a go-getter.
A big move for women or teenagers, I guess.
I've heard her being described as having grit, which I think is an eminent qualification.
And also, Hunter Biden will be running the COVID-19 task force thing or whatever it is.
Yes.
Biden's like, it's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful.
Huge.
Just like Trump. It's going to be huge. I'm going to have the best people working on it. And then this one, though, I really didn't expect this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I tweeted, I did not expect Biden to pick the basement of the pizza place from that Pizzagate thing to be the Secretary of Education.
Yes.
Bold choice, definitely. A little controversial.
It is weird to pick a room to head a department.
And that doesn't exist.
Right.
I didn't think, and then his attorney general is his dog.
Yeah, well, he's a good boy.
He is. He's definitely a good boy.
He's
we can do this Bill Maher shit easily. What the fuck, man? Where's my $1 million contract? This is the kind of. Well, hold on. Let me see if I can think of any other cabinet positions. The undersecretary is going to be. I don't even know.
Yeah. See, it's harder than it looks.
What?
See, it's harder than it looks.
Well, I wrote those other ones when I was tweeting, but now I can't think of any ones when we're doing the. I'll have a talk with my writer.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, anyone that he's going to put in is going to be so much better. I remember 4 years ago when they were announcing all the horrible people that were going to be in Trump administration. I remember like the guy from Labor Secretary was going to be the fucking guy from Carl's Jr. And I was like,
it was awful. It was literally like hearing, like imagine hearing like, as my Secretary of the Interior, I'm choosing the Penguin, and like it's.
Not a penguin, but like the Batman villain.
Right. Yeah. Right. And the Department of State, Secretary of State is going to be Bizarro Superman. And like, it was just like a comically villainous group
of. What was like, what was the one guy, that guy, the oil man guy? He was like,
yeah.
He wasn't the Attorney General, something, the international.
He was the Secretary of State, I think. He was.
Yeah. Like the guy who was an Exxon man and like best friend.
Yeah,
it was just like, and I remember like being on Facebook around that time when they were announcing things, and this is when the Pizzagate stuff was really getting at the high. Was during it, they would distract people, and I remember like this guy I used to work with back in Chico, and he was talking, and these insane people were commenting about like Pizzagate, and I'm like, you guys are talking about like complete utter bullshit, and we have a guy. And you're totally ignoring the fact that we have a guy in the White House who's going to go in the White House who's putting absolutely horrible people. And these people were just like, they could care less. Like, we got to find this pizza place. George Soros is a Nazi. I'm like, what? These people are off their fucking rocker. So
just bizarre.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, they announced some people. I don't really know. I'm not like an expert on this stuff. So I guess I should become one. Who's that one lady? She's been getting highly regarded.
Janet Yellen.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah. Is that supposed to be for?
She's going to be Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah,
and that was the job Elizabeth Warren wanted. And even Elizabeth Warren is like, yeah, Janet Yellen's a good one. She was like the first chairperson of the Fed, female chairperson of the Fed, and by all accounts, she's real good. She's super competent. She knows the drill. She's not learning on the job or anything.
Is there still a lot more that he hasn't picked yet?
Well, I think there's some big ones, like his Secretary of Defense he hasn't picked. And who's his secretary? Has he picked his Secretary of State? I'm kind of freezing on that one.
I know people were pissed off at Rahm Emanuel.
Yeah, well, I don't think he is.
That guy sucks.
Yeah. He is terrible. They were going to pick him for Department of Transportation or something. And he did pick a Secretary of State. It's some guy I'd never really heard of, Antony Blinken, but he has an awesome Twitter handle, Antony Blinken. His Twitter handle is A Blinken, which sounds just like A. You
gotta
Blinken.
Watch out for John Wilk.
Well, his Twitter is Abe Lincoln. So whenever people are going to be talking about Biden's Secretary of State, it's going to be Abe Lincoln.
My favorite was, like the Lincoln Party people. Like,
oh yeah,
there was a parody account with there was a John Wilkes Booth party, and they stole the Lincoln Party logo.
Yeah,
and they changed it to John Wilkes Booth. The John Wilkes Booth Project. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
my biggest concern, and they always say that, like, for some reason, Democrats always fucking put in a Republican when it comes to like defense. Now I know like Obama kept Gates around,
sure,
in 2008, but it didn't bother me as much back then because it felt like it might be good to keep he wasn't Donald Rumsfeld,
right?
It was a fucking nightmare. It was like good to keep maybe keep him in some way, just because it's like we were still heavily in Iraq.
Yeah, I think,
and we were in Afghanistan and stuff like that. Like,
there's probably some Republicans that are really good at a certain thing that aren't necessarily ideological. Like the military ostensibly will do what you tell it to do.
but I just feel like the Democrats need to not put a Republican in that position, because I think it just sells the bullshit that it like sells the thing the Republicans try to sell, which is like, we're better on military, when it's not true.
Yeah.
So like, there are Democrats who are good on the military, like, and they may not be the progressives I want them to be, because it's military. But
you want to put a Republican in charge of something, put Mitt Romney in charge of Obamacare. There you go.
No.
It'd be fine.
Obamacare, yeah. The thing, it doesn't exist because it's the ACA. Put in charge specifically of Obamacare.
Yeah.
So we could get him out of the Senate. Even though another Republican would take its place, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm not worried about it. We'll see. It's out of my control. That's the one thing about the when they run for president, after you vote for them.
Right. Yeah.
You have no control who they put in their cabinet.
Yeah. I have no problem with the Biden's picks. I think it'll be fine.
I just still think the near Tandon thing is a distraction.
Yeah.
I think that,
well,
like, I see so many people, it's like she's bait, and man, some of these like Bernie people took the bait on it. I'm not a fan of her, and I could see why people hate her, but she's getting way too much attention from certain.
I think the striking thing though is that, man, his cabinet looks diverse, and it looks good that way. I mean,
they look like adults too. They actually look like people who would be in those positions.
Right.
And he'll actually fill all those positions.
Right.
Right? Like, that's the
thing.
With
competent adults.
Didn't like Trump not ever fill?
Oh yeah.
There's like so many positions in his administration that were never filled.
So yeah.
I mean, it was intended to never work.
Well, that too, I think, was a feature, not a bug. You know.
But I mean, like, even like, I mean, you could say like, oh, Republicans want to destroy government and stuff, but like, Republicans have, I mean, under Bush, they had all those positions filled, from what I remember.
Yeah, no, that is true.
I almost think it's just more of like Trump not taking any of it seriously, and it was just a grift. Like, you know, like,
I just don't think he was very good at it. I think he probably, I just don't think he was good at being president. I think he had shitty people saddling up to him, and it never dawned on them that they should have an undersecretary of transportation. And it never dawned on them that they should have, you know, a regional administrator of this type of grant. And it just never dawned on them, because they were too busy locking kids in cages, and they were too busy banning Muslims, and they were too busy villainizing trans people.
The guy could never even do the most basic thing of a president. It's like Charlottesville happens. All he had to do is say, yes, Nazis are bad.
Right.
But instead he had to like villainize, make Antifa, like try to like push this thing, which I don't know. I think I could still see any Republican, they would have worded it better. They would have said like, I completely condemn the Nazis, but I also condemn, like, they wouldn't say like there were good people on both sides. They wouldn't say that, but they would say, they would try to lump, they would use the language of trying to lump and people who they would deem Antifa, which is everyone that's,
they would be shitty in a more clever way.
Right. Like, somebody was talking about like George W. Bush, like, why, I don't know, maybe it was David Pakman or something. It was like on Twitter today. He was like talking about like how he was watching like a old George W. Bush thing from like 2007 or whatever, and like mortified by like the stuff they were pushing, because he's like, they did it in such a more stereo instruction type way that the majority of people kind of like, it just glazed up. They wouldn't pay attention. He's watching, he's like, these people are horrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they had horrible ideas, but they're doing it in a more policy driven way. It's like Trump couldn't do any president thing right. It's like during the George Floyd thing, what does he do? He goes into a bunker, and then he comes out and he gasses people. Like, I mean,
comically bad.
Yeah, comically villainous.
Like that wouldn't even in a 1980s James Bond movie, they'd be like, no, we got to rewrite this.
Like this
they
is
would,
like Goldfinger shit from the
yeah.
60s. Like people expect more like a little more subdued, you know,
Right.
like even like Luthor in a Superman comic would be like, that's a little
It's a little over the top, yeah.
yeah, it's
Like
giving away the game.
Christopher Walken in the View to a Kill Bond entry would be like, that's a little much.
To a kill.
Let's tone this down a little bit.
The Duran Duran song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
And also Grace Jones.
Yeah, she was in that. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so what else are we gonna talk about?
Well, we actually are on the tail end of this. We had three topics left. The next one was we were going to talk about you texted me a interesting statistic today that said basically 1 out of every 800 residents of North Dakota has dropped dead because of the coronavirus.
Yes. And that only 726,000 people live in North Dakota to begin with.
I think it was North Dakota, you said. Yeah.
Let me pull it up real quick.
That is crazy.
It's like it's North Dakota. Like that's criminal. I mean, like 1 out of 800 people in North Dakota are dead from COVID-19. That's a high rate. And guess what?
Yeah.
It's just gonna go up.
Well,
it's not going to go down. They've done nothing to stop it.
No, they've given up.
Did that governor ever put in a mask mandate?
No, I will say the South Dakota governor, and I hate to lump the two together, but they're real similar. The South
Which one
Dakota,
is the woman is the South Dakota, right? She's awful.
She was terrible. She came out, and after Biden won, she was like, you need to understand South Dakota and why we won't wear masks. And then like literally that day,
what's there to understand it? You're an asshole.
Literally that day, South Dakota had like some huge crisis with the coronavirus. And I'm looking at them right now. It's just bananas how bad South Dakota is.
It's just like all these like Trump style GOP politicians that like in these like really deep red states that like will do anything to cater to their insane base of voters that get all their information from like, it's like a vicious cycle. It's like they get all their information from like InfoWars, OAN, Facebook conspiracies, Breitbart, all the Fox News, and they're all telling them masks are bullshit, it's conspiracy, it's this. So, and that's her voters. So she has to like cater to them and be like, you don't understand, like, we don't need masks here, but it's like, yeah, you do. But it's like, but if I put masks in, I'm going to lose my voters. Like there's all these nut jobs I see on Facebook. I haven't looked lately, but especially when Abbott put in a face mask thing, you're like, I'm not voting for you again. I always vote Republican. I will not vote for you. I'm like, they'll vote for him. But I mean, like, because they'll never vote for a Democrat. They won't. But I mean, like, that's their voters. So of course she's and that's Trump's voters. It's like a vicious cycle. It's like the GOP created these voters, these type of voters and it's like the what do you call it? The biting its own tail the
Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. Yeah,
like that's literally what's going on. It's like what's going on with Georgia with the runoffs, where it's like you tell them, well, why should I vote? Why should I come out? Especially in a man of pandemic that you say, that's not real anyway. Well, why should I wait on a long line to vote for people when I know they're not going to win because elections don't mean anything? Because, you told me they were fake. So why should I vote for them? It's awesome.
It's weird. I will say they are now saying that it's probably true that in 2 weeks, like literally just 2 weeks from now, the first round of the coronavirus vaccine will go out to first responders and residents of nursing homes.
I think California is getting 327,000 vials in the middle of December.
Well, that'll be good. I mean, if the real doctors say that the vaccine's good, I'm going to go get it.
I'm gonna wait and see if anyone explodes first.
Right. Well, they
like if blood comes out of their eyes or anything. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, they say. Yeah, because they did kind of rush this one through. They say that by like March or April of next year, that the vaccine will be widely available. And I think by then you'll have a better sense of like, is this a safe thing or not? That's pretty promising. I mean, I think it's not going to be as easy as some people imagine. I think we're going to be dealing with this for another year.
They're going to be dealing with people too that won't get the vaccine.
Well, ideally, like that'll be a problem that takes care of itself. Like,
well, no, because for a vaccine to be effective, 70% of the population has to take it, and when you have 45% of the population that, or maybe more, that don't believe in vaccines, that's a problem.
But that's only a problem for those that can't take the vaccine, which it sucks. I'm not saying that's not a problem.
Well,
but like,
that's what the people who can't take it's one thing. But I'm saying for the vaccine to be fully effective in the United States, to make it that your chances of getting the virus gets down to so little.
Yeah.
70% of the population has to have access.
True.
So when you have a huge percentage of the especially an angry population that lost a presidential election, you're gonna have spiteful people that will refuse, that don't believe this thing even exists. Why would I take this vaccine or this thing that I don't believe is real? It's really funny. Oh, go ahead. What?
No, I'm just saying, like, I think if everyone took the vaccine, then yes, the illness would go away. But like, let's say a lot of people don't take it. 40% of the US does not take the vaccination. If I get vaccinated, I'm still very protected. Not 100%, but very protected.
I'll still wear a mask in public. I'll still, even with the vaccine.
I'm pretty used to it. I mean, like, I think if I'm the only one wearing a mask, I'll probably feel a little weird and reconsider. But I can see.
I would, because I would still wear it because, again, knowing that there's people who refuse to take it, especially in our area.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Who don't vaccinate their kids.
I like the idea of wearing a mask now in general. I think it feels like a relatively.
I haven't had a cold all year.
That's what I was going to say.
The only thing that sucks is like some allergies I've had, but like
our family usually has had a couple colds or flus or whatever, by now in the year, and we haven't. Since we've been healthier than ever because of the coronavirus, because we wear masks, we limit our outside contact, we wash our hands, more so or more diligently. I think it's probably just good thinking to be like this.
I don't mind it. Fucking like Asian countries been doing it for fucking years,
right.
and all these people, we always laugh at it, like, why are they wearing masks? And it's like, I don't know, maybe they're smart.
Yeah, right.
And it's respectful too. They're respectful to each other in some way.
Yeah.
We're not respectful. I'm sorry. If you're not wearing a mask and you're 10 months into this, you have no respect for anybody.
Right.
You don't respect people. And if you claim you do, you don't. You just don't. You're selling people. I don't care about you at all. I don't believe this is real. There's people who die of this thing. I told you about this nurse that basically says people like in their dying breath still think it's not real.
Yeah.
And they drop dead from it. It's like, it's real. I mean,
yeah.
you learned the hard way, buddy. Okay, so what's the? Did we cover that one? I mean,
we have. And this is a weird one. We had talked about whether or not we were going to even include it. We were going to talk about the Project Veritas, CNN tapes, which came out tonight, and then we're going to talk about Elliot Page. And but the project.
Go ahead with the Project Veritas thing. You know more.
Well, James O'Keefe.
Say his name properly.
He's a convicted felon grifter that every so often puts out these doctored tapes and makes a big deal and raises money.
Right-wing slanted, always to help the Republican Party.
Comically bad.
Yeah.
So he put out I guess he somehow got a hold of a direct line to CNN's editorial meetings and taped them. And CNN, for the longest time, I looked at this stuff for like an hour or two tonight, trying to figure out what the scandal was. And CNN in their editorial meetings talked about Fox News, and which you would hope that a company would do is examine their competitors. And they said Tucker Carlson's a racist, which he is. A lot of people say that. And they talked about how they didn't want to overplay Trump leaving. They wanted to, make sure they weren't sensationalizing it, which made everything CNN was doing in this meeting sounded exactly like what I would assume CNN is doing.
Like any news organization would do. A normal one.
I would imagine that Fox News talks about CNN and how they can beat them in the ratings. And I'd imagine that OANN talks about, how, who the fuck knows what they talk about. But like, it just all seemed like this is exactly the kind of shit that you would expect. I mean, everything seemed like right out in the open. And anyway, CNN tweeted tonight that they think James O'Keefe broke the law, which he often does, by recording these, and they referred it to the Criminal Justice Department.
He doesn't work for CNN too, right? Like,
no, he's a freelance, quote unquote,
he's
journalist.
the leader of Project Veritas, duh.
Yeah. And it's just, I couldn't understand it. Like, a lot of people are saying, like,
I just find it hysterical. It's like the controversial revelation of Tucker Carlson might be a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Everyone knows
what
that.
proof do they have?
Right.
Just years of his existence.
Just
and
Tucker
also
Carlson being a racist.
Also, the fact that his writer, who was exposed as being a literal Nazi troll online, his number one writer. So that means a guy who basically is dictated pretty much everything Tucker Carlson said for the past years.
Yeah,
was outed as a online Nazi troll. Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's a mystery. Maybe Tucker Carlson might be a racist. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I'm glad that Cub investigative reporter James O'Keefe is on the case.
It's just embarrassing. I mean, like, I get that he's
embarrassing. I mean, he tried doing this like COVID's fake thing where he went to like a testing site and he had a guy who's like works for the testing and everyone made a joke and said, well, James, why don't you open the window if COVID isn't real?
Yeah.
Right. Why don't you open the window and let the guy talk into your car?
It's just so bizarre.
I don't really have anything else to say. Hey, real quick though, before we get into the other thing, I watched a movie called Bombshell. It's on
with
Hulu, and I think it's on Amazon. It's the
Megyn Kelly story.
Megyn Kelly, Gretchen Carlson, and a girl that never existed. I didn't know. So you got Furiosa. What's her name?
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron plays Megyn Kelly. She's really good in it. Nicole Kidman plays Gretchen Carlson. It's okay.
Did she have both arms?
Gretchen Carlson?
Charlize Theron.
Furiosa. No, she was like, I'm gonna play Megyn Kelly with a robot arm. I thought that was I didn't expect that, but that's cool.
That's rocketing to the top of my queue.
Was Roger Ailes. It was really strange. I didn't expect all that. Tucker Carlson was a
blood bag.
Was that the War Boys or whatever?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, and then Harley Quinn was in it. What's her name?
Oh yeah, Margot Robbie.
Robbie. I was always wondering who she played, and then I looked it up. She played someone that didn't exist. She played. So you had like two. They wanted to show like 3 different type of women in two of them being real. And the one character that's the best character in the movie is the one that doesn't exist because Megyn Kelly is a piece of shit and Gretchen Carlson's kind of a shit too. She just had like, I don't know. She was kind of getting like the thing is they're showing her she's kind of like aging out at Fox. Like Fox is like notoriously sexist. They show you like all the behind the scenes. John Lithgow plays Roger Ailes. He's really fucking good in it.
Oh, cool.
They show everybody in it. Like they have a guy who plays Sean Hannity, a guy who plays like Carl, but they're only in it for a minute. But when they're there, it is laughably bad. Like it's almost like you're watching a Saturday Night Live skit at that point. Like you know that one's Sean Hannity, that one's right. But the best character in it was the woman who played Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Okay.
And this was when like the sexual harassment suits started happening.
Yeah.
She's like trying to make people wear Team Roger shirts and The Office. And she's a total asshole in the movie. It's like, and it's so awesome because it just makes sense. It makes so much perfect sense because she dates Donald Trump Jr. and she's part of the Trump campaign. She's a total horrible person. But then it's revealed that she is on the harassment list in not being one of the women that was harassed, being the women that did the harassment. So it's kind of funny when you because this was taking place in 2016 during the campaign. It like kind of starts around the time when like Trump says the thing about Megyn Kelly with the blood. Right. Yeah. But it looking back, it makes it even funnier with the Kimberly Guilfoyle thing.
Hilarious.
but it's just like Megyn Kelly is like the Gretchen Carlson thing. It was like okay, and the Margot Robbie is good. What's his face like as great as Roger Ailes.
Yep.
Cameron Diaz is not Cameron Diaz. Fucking what's her name?
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron was great
yeah.
as Megyn Kelly, but Megyn Kelly is such.
Yeah, she's trash. Yeah.
Buzzball in real life, and also they actually do a good job in the movie. I didn't want to see this movie because I thought they were gonna like one. I'm like, these are Fox News people. I have no pity for anyone that works at Fox.
Right.
It's a horrible organization. It's like, and the funny thing is, the one character you have the most pity for is the person that's not real.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie's supposed to represent like the up and coming.
She's probably supposed to be like the audience stand-in. Like you're supposed to empathize with her.
Yeah, it's like the showgirls, like.
Yeah,
like,
Nomi.
Kind of like, but also like her name was Nomi. I thought that was weird. Nomi. I didn't think I was strange. It was weird. Like from Robert Downey was there. It was really weird.
Right.
I didn't when she whipped out her tit and licked it. I thought that was really strange. I was not expecting. And then when they said monkey trouble, I was like, what? I'm watching Showgirls. No.
She went home and ate doggy chow.
Yeah,
very strange.
Doggy chow's real good. You can listen to our Showgirls episode. We talked about
that's a great
Showgirls.
one.
And you'll be like, what the fuck were they just talking about in the past minute? So she's the best character in the movie because she's supposed to be like every 22 to 25-year-old or whatever, young woman who comes into Fox. And the best thing about the movie is they talk about like how you can't leave Fox. Like you can't. Like your career, it's like
blood in, blood out.
It's like you're not taken seriously as a journalist. And there is truth to it because even though this takes place in the past, every Gretchen, what was her name?
Gretchen Carlson.
Well, not Gretchen Carlson, the other one. Megyn Kelly went to go work for NBC. She was a fucking disaster. That other woman who's in it for a bit, but she's not one of the people being harassed. She was Greta Van Susteren.
Yep.
She was on Fox for years. She went to MSNBC and they fired her ass after a year. She was a disaster also.
Yeah.
These like people, they just don't work out. It's like Fox.
No.
And Megyn Kelly, it's like she spent half her time on Fox like complaining about black malt Santas.
Yeah.
And then she basically got removed from NBC because they were talking about like Halloween. And I guess they talk about blackface.
Yeah.
And Megyn Kelly's like, that's bad.
Right.
I don't like.
When did blackface become bad?
Yeah. You can't take the Fox out of the people.
Nah.
I recommend watching it, but like I'm kind of glad they don't make Megyn Kelly a sympathetic character. They actually there's similarities between her and the character in Handmaid's Tale. What's her name? I fucking totally forgot the blonde woman with the teal dress. The
wife, right? I forget her name. But yeah, she's the commander's wife.
Yeah, like similarity, personality, and like Megyn Kelly's just a straight up Republican. They don't, and they do a good job. And I like that. When I was watching the movie, I thought they were gonna like make you try to feel sympathetic for all these people, but no, she's an asshole. But she gets hers. I say watch it with a grain of salt. Yeah, good, but they do a really good job of talking about Fox. I mean, I kind of knew about the stuff already, but they show like the dressing area of like.
Oh geez.
All the women, it's ridiculous. Oh man, it's so
I'll check
good.
this out.
It is literally like Showgirls, actually. That's why it's funny to bring up Showgirls because they show like the changing room and the way and fucking Roger Ailes is always like, I told you to pull out, meaning like the shots. Like normal Fox News, they always show legs.
Yeah.
They always make sure to pull the camera out. And there's like a part where like they don't pull the camera out, and Roger Ailes is like, pull the camera. He's like freaking out. But you know what? It was all about the ratings. Yeah. And also the guy was a pervert.
Yeah.
He was a disgusting human. All right. Well, speaking of something else before we wrap up.
Oh, yeah. Elliot Page.
Yeah, Elliot Page, who I am not good at describing, was Ellen Page.
Right.
But now he is Elliot Page.
Yes.
It came out today. And basically, I mean, when he was Ellen Page, she came out in 2014.
Right.
It was a big deal. And then she's been very outspoken, but now she is Elliot Page. And they're still going to continue he's on the Umbrella Academy right now.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I first saw Elliot Page in a movie. I think it was called Hard Candy, or
Yeah,
it was a bizarre little movie, and I didn't think much of it at the time. But then he was in a couple other movies, and
there's Juno.
Yep, Juno was the
big
big one, and then Inception. And I always liked.
Oh, that's right, Inception. Yeah, and Kitty Pryde in the X-Men movies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So here's my only contribution to this discussion, because I think it's cool that anybody finds who they are. Like, that should be everyone's life goal, is to figure out who they are, right? Like, and this is kind of ironic because I'm saying they in the plural, but like anyone, which is singular, you should find out who they are, and that's a great life goal. It does still trip me up, and I know this makes me old, or this is a condition of being older, that like
you're gonna get canceled. Be careful.
Well, when I saw the headline, it said Elliot Smith says I think the headline on Twitter said Elliot Smith said they are transgender.
Elliot Smith.
So I'm sorry, that's the singer. Elliot Page said they are transgender. And I read the article and I'm like, okay, so Elliot Page is transgender. Who else is transgender? Because it said they. And I just can't get over that hill grammatically. Whenever they say they, I look for more than one person. Like,
it does sound like you're talking about a couple of people.
Yeah, and it's just like a weird little quirk. It's just how my brain works. I know that that's like not a big deal. No one needs to change anything to accommodate me and how my brain works with grammar.
You're not gonna put out a what did I say? I tweeted this one thing about it. Let me see. We pulled up this one today. On top of my Biden picks, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
I said, where are you? Oh, I felt a great disturbance on YouTube, as if millions of chuds suddenly angrily made videos complaining about this all at once.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, that, like, you know, there's people that you find out later after their career that they are transgender. Like, one of them we knew, like, there's the woman from Orange is the New Black.
Yep.
And she got a bigger career with Orange is the New Black. And
yes,
she's been working consistently. What's her name?
I don't remember her name, but I know it's she plays like a very aggressive character in the show. No,
she's the beautician.
Who's the one?
You're thinking, okay, no, in Orange is the New Black, there's a person a man who transitioned into a woman who's in the prison, and she's the beautician.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of a different character.
You're thinking of another character that's not that I think is a woman that she's like a drag king that she never comes out as like transition. No. But I was saying, and then there was like this other person who was like on a Disney show, and it was revealed like that he was formerly like a she. Actually.
Oh yeah.
But like his whole career was based on you only like whatever. If you look at his IMDb or whatever, I forgot his name, but you would never think ever that his whole career is based on him basically being a man.
Right.
Like, no roles of like when he was a she. So I was saying, I think this is a really big deal for, like, you know, people will look back and not try to downplay it, but I think it's a big deal for someone who is an established film and television actress to come out, transition, and now be an actor and change their name and still have that capital. Like this is happening in the middle of their career. They are still young. Like I think he's like probably like 10 years younger than me.
I'm gonna guess. Yeah, I would guess 30.
Yeah. I'm not in their 30s. I'm gonna say in their 30s. Probably a little older than what they were playing. You know what I mean? Like actors and actresses are usually
33.
Like so a couple years older than probably what they were supposed to be. I guess maybe on age when they were in Juno. I don't know. Probably a little like 18 or 19 instead of 16. But it's a big deal, I think, because it's like I said, it's in the middle of his career.
I think it's a big
And
deal because there's a sense that like he's not going to lose any work, you know?
well, I mean, they said on Netflix that like he will still remain on the show.
Yeah.
I was saying like they said that he will still play this female character. Again, they don't portray her in the most. It's not the most feminine character to begin with.
Right.
I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. But the way the show works, though, with like they work in a lot of weird time travel and stuff like that, that they could totally make the character
They can just change it.
It's like her name was Vanya, and now it would just be like Ivan. Yeah.
They don't even have to address it. They can just change it.
And they'll be like, oh, I'm Ivan now.
Yeah.
And like it wouldn't matter. Like that's how the show.
Well,
I don't know if you watched the show. Have you ever watched it?
Yeah. They swapped out Darren's and Bewitched. You just do it.
But they changed actors. Show. This is still gonna be the same person playing it, this character, but this character will be now it doesn't matter. It won't. But like I said, I think it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal for a marginalized group like people who are trans and stuff to have like a public name.
Yeah.
Now, he's not as big as he was when like Juno came out, but still a big name, still a big influence. Still working, and I think that's a big deal. I think that's like really cool. I think it's like because usually the people that we've seen that are actors or actresses, you find out like that they don't have a huge catalog of work before they are already what they transition into. You know what I mean? Like I was watching The Connors and they brought in a character played by a trans woman, and she was, I don't know if did you ever watch the show Transparency on Amazon?
I watched a little bit, back when it was out.
She played Jeffrey Tambor's roommate on it. Okay. So it was kind of cool to bring her on in The Connors, and they didn't like make a big deal about it. They didn't say like, oh, this is a trans woman or anything. Like maybe it'll come up. I mean, but she's playing a female character as far as you know. It's and that, I know I'm saying I think it's cool. It's like it's showing like it's like, but this is what it takes. You gotta like, this is how you normalize people. Right. You get people used to this stuff. It's like, that's why it's easy for like bigots to get into power and stuff, because you get people scared of the unknown.
Well,
go ahead.
These are pioneers, like Elliot Page is a pioneer. They're blazing a trail, and
people dunk on Ellen DeGeneres and think she's an asshole now. When she came out as a lesbian in the mid 90s,
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. I mean, like, to put her, that's a big deal. Like if you were like a gay actor or gay actress, you were literally regulated to just specific roles. They didn't let you play other things. So yeah, it's cool.
I think he should go, and I know the job is open because the actor who formerly played this character has dropped out. I think Elliot Page would be a natural fit for that Harry Potter series, take over the Johnny Depp character, right?
Yeah, I think the creator is very open-minded. She's known for not being a turfer.
Right. So
yeah, I would be down for and I think what's his face would actually be pretty cool with the guy who played Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to play that character again. I think he'd be like, yeah, go for it.
Right.
I think that's such a great idea. I think that they should do a Harry Potter sequel, but star Elliot Page instead. Yeah. In spite of whatever the writers' opinions, which are they bad? I don't know.
It's so hard to tell these days.
It's easy to tell because, but I mean, like, is she known for being an asshole? I think she's known for being an asshole
to some degree. Yeah.
J.K. Rowling's. Yeah.
They call her the Mike Pence of authors. The Mike Pence.
Yeah, so I think it's cool. Like I said, I haven't looked on the YouTubes. I haven't seen. I don't care what any of these fucking people say.
No, I love it.
They're gonna say the same tired thing, and I do like that you admit like you don't understand it's not that you don't understand, but you have a hard time.
Yeah,
I do too. I will have a hard, and I'm gonna admit it. I will have a hard time referring Elliot Page as I just will. I mean,
I have to like consciously think as I'm doing it, like Elliot, and when
It
I
doesn't
talked
make
about,
you a bad person.
no, you're trying.
I'm sure some people will say that, but the difference is you're willing to acknowledge and accept, and not put some saying this is the end of society.
Nah, you just got to do the work.
For the hot Ben Shapiro take. I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I need to overcome my pronoun antecedent agreement problem of using a plural pronoun with a singular antecedent. That's just something I'm going to have to work through. So I'm here for it.
Till then, you are just going to be out. No.
I will do it.
I will say though, the funniest thing that people get, I just love Twitter and how there's just some people who just get pissed off of the dumbest shit, like the boo bomber thing and like real dumb stuff. My favorite thing though, my favorite complaint though today was like Variety or something announced it, and they were like, Elliot Page, star of the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
That's all he's known for. And there was this people tweeting, what about this? And there was like the catalog work. I'm like, dude, or just calm the fuck down. Like everybody's, you know what I mean? Like, this is not helping. This is why you get morons who say the people on the left get offended by everything. And it's like, I thought that was like, I was like, oh my God, people are just like, like we get it. Yes, we know that he's been in a lot of movies. We understand that, but that's currently
that's his current gig.
In right now. You know, it's like when they talk about Pedro Pascal being on Mandalorian, to be like,
well,
what about the one season of Game of Thrones he was in? How dare you not mention that?
Oof.
People are weird.
People are strange.
Yep. All right. Well, you know what? I don't really have anything else to say. This was on long. So I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.